There are two of them. Third orbital Starship stacked while another ship arrives at the launch site. Wait, what? NASA shows the Starship docking system. Lunar Starship soon? Axiom Space is testing Artemis spacesuits, and Lunar Lander SLIM wakes up while Nova C shuts down. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Last week was crazy. The third Starship campaign is on the final stretch, while NASA and SpaceX are revealing more human landing system hardware. There is so much to cover, let's go. Numerous plot twists have marked the road to the third Starship launch. Following what seemed to be 2 attempts at a wet dress rehearsal, Booster 10 was taken back to the Megabay for some unspecified work. These modifications could have been related to the test itself or the findings from the investigation into the second flight, which was recently closed. On February 28th, this massive steel can, poised to take its place in history as the booster for the first Starship to reach orbit, made its way down Highway 4, arriving at the launch site shortly thereafter. When it arrived, it was quickly put between Mechazilla's arms and hoisted onto the orbital launch mount. I want to believe that this was the last time this prototype was in the air without using the thrust from its Raptor engines, but the presence of the scaffolding at the launch deck may suggest otherwise. Okay, but what about the upper stage of the third Starship? Where is Ship 28? Following its spin prime on February 26th, a static fire test seemed the next logical step. However, SpaceX opted to remove the prototype from Pad B and place it right next to the tower instead. This unusual twist might suggest that SpaceX is confident that the newly replaced Raptors will definitely work, so no ignition is needed. On March 1st, Mechazilla's arms tackled the challenge of placing Ship 28 on the Super Heavy booster. Yet this operation was far from straightforward. For quite some time now, SpaceX has been encountering problems during stacking, often requiring multiple adjustments. Occasionally, we've even witnessed the de-stacking of a prototype mere hours after its assembly. Achieving a precise alignment of 2 9-meter or 30 feet cylinders within a few centimeters is quite challenging. The prototypes weigh hundreds or even thousands of tons when fueled, so there are a lot of forces involved. It could be that, for example, the ground beneath the launch table is shifting ever so slightly, or the chopsticks are experiencing minor deformations from repeated use. Tiny changes at one point could lead to significant errors elsewhere in the setup. To address these issues, Starbase engineers have recently made a subtle yet crucial modification to one of Mechazilla's arms. Contrary to what some might believe, the ship isn't lifted by its forward flaps. Instead, there's a specialized socket located beneath them. Chopsticks are equipped with a pin that slots into this socket, enabling the secure lifting of the stage. Recently, the pin on the left arm was repositioned and moved a few centimeters closer to the tower. This alteration slightly changed the angle at which the ship is held relative to the tower, which should make stacking way easier. Since the restack, Ship 28 wasn't taken down for adjustments, so perhaps this modification helped. What you have to keep in mind when we talk about improvements for Mechazilla is that overall the system performs exceptionally well. Getting a rocket to the pad and stacking both stages never looked so easy, especially considering that this is the largest rocket ever stacked. What are your thoughts? Will future towers come equipped with modified chopsticks to prevent these alignment issues? Or will the prototypes themselves be designed with an improved alignment mechanism? Share your thoughts in the comments. With the full stack now assembled, SpaceX is edging closer to the third flight. However, the most significant hurdle remains obtaining the launch license. Achieving this requires the completion of a full wet dress rehearsal, simulating launch conditions with the vehicles fully loaded with liquid oxygen and methane. Notices for new closures from March 3rd to March 5th have been announced, the last of which will be active when this episode is released. We are all hoping that by this time SpaceX has successfully carried out this critical test. If it did happen, you should see footage from it on your screen right now. Now take a closer look at this image. Notice anything unusual? No, you are not seeing double. As it stands, there are indeed 2 ships present at the launch complex. So how did this happen? Do we have a traffic jam? Well, just as Ship 28 was gearing up for stacking, Ship 29 made an unexpected exit from the high bay, embarking on its journey towards the launch site. This development certainly caught us off guard. Initially, Ship 29 was left near Pad B, but on March 1st it went right next to the fully assembled stack. Wait, what? Is this a new game changer from SpaceX? A double ship stack? While intriguing, the movement was probably a part of a planned photo shoot. SpaceX likely took this as an opportunity to flex on everyone by showing that even before the third Starship launches, they already have a rocket almost ready for the next mission. Though these photos haven't been shared publicly yet, I think there's a strong possibility that they'll accompany the announcement of an official launch date. After its brief appearance near the fully stacked Starship, Ship 29 was repositioned to the suborbital area and mounted on the test stand. Having already undergone 3 cryogenic proof tests at Massey's in September and October 2023, the next step for this prototype would be to undergo a spin prime test. If that goes to plan, we may soon see everyone's favorite, a 6-engine static fire. Perhaps the recent upgrades to Stage 0 will allow SpaceX to launch the 4th Starship in a month or 2 after the 3rd launch, which is why they already want to test it. Seeing an uptick in launch activity would be a welcome sight, especially considering Starship's critical role in NASA's Human Landing System program for the Artemis missions. Reason enough to do a little inventory check. What do we actually know about active HLS Starship development? When SpaceX was selected in 2021 as the sole contractor for the Artemis Lunar Lander, everyone was shocked. The company is known for providing relatively cheap access to space, but no one was expecting that their proposal would be both way bigger and way less expensive than the competition's. In fact, SpaceX's offer was essentially the only viable option NASA could choose. The other bids simply exceeded the financial budgets of the agency. We've been monitoring Starbase for a few years, tracking every development. Yet, despite this, we saw very little progress regarding the Lunar Starship itself out in the open. However, this scarcity of visible hardware doesn't necessarily imply a lack of focus on HLS by SpaceX. First piece of Artemis hardware made its debut at Starbase 3 years ago, marked by a white nose cone graced with the American flag and the iconic NASA worm logo. This part, likely a mock-up, sparked our curiosity about what's inside of it, but it remained a secret as it was scrapped just a year later. After that, we didn't see any lunar hardware for another year. Then in August 2023, an intriguing prototype appeared in the rocket garden, later confirmed as an interior mock-up for the HLS Starship. Inside is a mock-up of a Lunar Starship cockpit. Its leeward side is painted white, contrasting with the backside's black heat tiles. An interesting choice considering that the Lunar Starship isn't designed to survive re-entry. Yet no images of the mock-up's interior have been shared, with SpaceX maintaining a tight lid on what exactly lies within. Another candidate for Artemis-related hardware could be Ship 26, which may turn out to be the most advanced step toward the Human Landing System prototype yet. Its design, lacking both flaps and heat shield yet having undergone a static fire test simulating a deorbit burn, has fueled widespread speculation. Since its test, it has been stationed at the rocket garden, gradually being outfitted with more and more stringers. No one knows its true purpose. Some suggest that the added supports hint at installing a thruster ring required for a lunar landing. Others believe it might serve as a late HLS mock-up, complete with solar panels, a full interior, and landing legs, albeit without flight capabilities. SpaceX usually gets rid of unused prototypes, so they definitely have some goals for Ship 26. Now, just because we've seen only a handful of prototypes at Starbase doesn't mean that SpaceX isn't working on more advanced stuff behind the scenes. In 2022, NASA released an update on the Artemis program, showcasing the crew and cargo elevator designed for transporting materials from Starship to the lunar surface. By December 2023, a more refined design of this elevator was revealed, this time tested by astronauts in suits designed to mimic the restricted movement experienced in actual space gear. This was to assess the elevator's practicality and ease of use on the moon. These HLS components are being developed and tested at SpaceX's facilities in Hawthorne, California, where they unfortunately can't be monitored 24/7 by space enthusiasts. NASA's most recent update indicates that the Lunar Starship's design phase is further than we thought. A docking system was shown, capable of securing the connection between Starship, the Orion capsule, and the Lunar Gateway station in the future. This system, based on the International Docking Adapter or IDA standard, taking inspiration from the Dragon 2 and ISS docking mechanisms, has already undergone the qualification process. In just 10 days, over 200 docking scenarios were simulated at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Furthermore, SpaceX has completed over 30 milestones related to the HLS project. This includes testing hardware for critical functions such as power generation, communication, navigation, propulsion, life support, and protecting against space environments. The progress behind closed doors suggests that SpaceX is way further into the development of the Lunar Starship than we initially thought. In a short talk with me and Stefanie during the Artemis 1 launch, Doug Wheelock, seasoned NASA astronaut, revealed to us that he is part of the team designing workflows and cockpit layouts for the HLS Starship together with SpaceX and NASA. With the Artemis 3 mission getting closer by the day, hopefully more details regarding these systems will emerge. What is your take on these developments? Do you believe SpaceX can meet the 2026 deadline for returning humans to the moon, or are we looking at more potential delays? Please let me know in the comments. Now you've watched more than half the video and you're still watching, thank you, this means you like it. We've looked into our channel metrics and there are over 2 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help us improve the channel even further by double checking that you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our updates. And while you're at it, give us a like and become a wise supporter for exclusive SpaceX updates. With it, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries, including satellite, aerial, and ground photos of SpaceX's progress, and countless other extras on top. And no matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. Check our new website as well, launch previews, road closures, the latest weather report, and our multi-stream viewer, whataboutit.space. The link to our Patreon page and the new website is in the description. Thanks to all the supporters who help fulfill dreams for our team. We cannot thank you enough. You rock. Now, before we continue with the news, here's a quick word about investing from our sponsor. Discover with me how our sponsor can boost your savings like the Axiom 3 mission. Link2 has partnered with Axiom Space, making private investing in your interests affordable and easier than before. Without barriers, anyone, including you and me, can fund top companies like Axiom Space and Astranis. Take control of your financial growth by managing your assets your way with peace of mind, knowing that each company is personally screened by Link2, reducing overall risk. Ensure your future with Axiom Space through Link2. The early bird catches the return, so start your private equity portfolio today using the link below. Seize this limited stellar opportunity with code Y500 for a $500 discount on your first investment. Link2, private investing made simple. Speaking of Axiom Space, did you know that they are also key players in the Artemis 3 mission, marking humanity's return to the lunar surface for the first time since Apollo 17? Getting back to the moon requires collaboration across various organizations. The mission will utilize NASA's Space Launch System and the Orion spacecraft, developed in partnership with the European Space Agency to transport the crew to lunar orbit. There, 2 astronauts will transfer to the aforementioned Lunar Starship, developed by SpaceX for the actual moon landing. However, to explore the lunar surface, astronauts will require specialized spacesuits designed for extravehicular activities. The initial plan for the Artemis missions involved using spacesuits developed by NASA. This led to the creation of the Exploration Extravehicular Mobility Unit, or XEMU, a project that faced significant challenges. Despite over a decade of work and hundreds of millions of dollars spent, the XEMU was far from ready for deployment. In 2022, NASA decided to change the plan and outsource the suit. This is where Axiom Space enters the game. They took the existing work of the American Space Agency, and by March 2023, Axiom unveiled their own suit design concept. By the end of the year, they've moved into the testing phase. In June, the suit is slated for a critical design review. Success in this review will greenlight the construction phase, followed by more rigorous testing in environments such as neutral buoyancy labs, aka big astronaut swimming pools, and large vacuum chambers to ensure everything works. By 2026, these suits are expected to be ready for lunar deployment aboard Starship, allowing NASA astronauts to conduct moonwalks. However, Axiom's ambitions even extend beyond spacesuits. They are also deeply invested into the development of a commercial space station. You're likely familiar with the Axiom missions to the International Space Station. These missions offer individuals not selected by NASA the chance to travel to the orbital laboratory aboard SpaceX's Dragon and conduct their own research for a week. This is a preparation for something much bigger. Axiom is developing its own space station, which will initially be part of the ISS. Recently, they shared an exciting update on their progress. The production of the Hub 1 module, designed to house 4 people, is already underway at Thales Alenia Space, a renowned aerospace manufacturer from Italy. In 2025, this module's hull will be transported to Houston, Texas, to be equipped with electronics and life support systems in preparation for its 2026 launch. Yes, 2026, that is just 2 years from now. As Axiom continues to add modules, it will not only allow for scientific research, but also be capable of producing pharmaceuticals and materials that benefit from microgravity conditions. It could even open up new ways of entertainment. It allows one to record full-length movies in space, offers breathtaking views of Earth from the observatory module, or simply allows one to enjoy the novelty of zero gravity. Eventually, the Axiom segment will separate from the ISS before the station's scheduled decommissioning in 2030, transitioning Axiom into a standalone private station. The late 2030s are anticipated to be a booming era for commercial space stations, and I can't wait to see them with my own eyes. Lastly, let's visit the moon one more time today. You're getting the full tour. If you've been following What About It for some time now, you may recall our coverage of SLIM, a Japanese lunar lander, at the start of January. The spacecraft attempted its moon touchdown on January 19th, but like many recent lunar landings, it encountered some challenges. In the final stages of its descent, SLIM lost one of its engine nozzles, resulting in it landing on its side. Although one of the experiments allowed them to capture some remarkable images of the lander, the mission team had to power down the spacecraft a few hours later. This precaution was taken to prevent the batteries from depleting, as the solar panels were not oriented towards the sun due to the lander's tilted position. The mission team held on to hope that the moon's rotation might eventually position the solar panels to catch sunlight, potentially reactivating SLIM. This hope materialized on January 29th, when the lander miraculously powered back on. However, this reveal was short-lived, lasting only a day, as it was just before the lunar night began. To put things into perspective, the Earth completes a rotation every 24 hours, giving us our day and night cycle. Hopefully you're aware that despite us always seeing the same side of the moon, it does rotate, albeit slowly, taking 27 days to complete one rotation. This synchronous rotation, matching its orbital period around Earth, creates the illusion that the moon is stationary from our viewpoint. A lunar day therefore consists of approximately 14 days of sunlight, followed by 14 days of complete darkness. This extreme fluctuation means temperatures can swing from over 100 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Fahrenheit during the day to nearly minus 200 degrees Celsius or minus 330 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Most lunar vehicles are designed to last only 14 days, as the intense cold of the lunar night poses a significant survival challenge without a dedicated heating system. Remarkably, despite not being engineered to withstand a lunar night, SLIM woke up once more on February 25th. It also successfully captured and transmitted additional images of the lunar surface. JAXA aimed to resume scientific observations by activating its multi-band spectroscopic camera, but unfortunately it malfunctioned. It was likely a casualty of the extreme cold experienced during the lunar night. SLIM remained operational until March 1st, when the solar panels could no longer capture sunlight, forcing it to go into sleep mode. As each lunar night passes, the likelihood of recovery diminishes, yet with the next sunrise in late March, we may be in for a surprise. Hats off to JAXA for their remarkable results with this mission. However, SLIM isn't the sole lander making recent headlines on the lunar surface. Our attention was also captured by the journey of Nova C, a lander whose mission we've been closely monitoring over the last few episodes. The more we uncover, the more we come to appreciate the extraordinary challenge that Odysseus faced. Due to its reliance on navigation Doppler lidar over the primary navigation system, the lander couldn't process data in real time during its descent. This meant that in the crucial minutes before touchdown, it was relying solely on pictures, which can't give precise readings. The consequence of this was a miscalculation by its algorithm, which overestimated its altitude by 100 meters or 330 feet. This error introduced some horizontal velocity, meaning it was moving sideways during landing, leading to a landing leg failure. Despite this, Nova-C survived, sending back images from the lunar surface, including views of the damaged leg. The mission team also decided to proceed with deploying the EagleCam experiment, which was initially designed to capture the landing from a third-person perspective. Regrettably, it failed to transmit any data back to the lander. Originally, operations were expected to conclude on February 27th due to suboptimal solar panel alignment. And yet, Odysseus managed to transmit data until February 29th, being commanded to shut down with the onset of the lunar night. Like SLIM, Nova-C wasn't built to endure the temperatures of the lunar night, but the team at Intuitive Machines remains hopeful, planning to re-establish contact in late March. Despite encountering challenges, the missions of both SLIM and Odysseus mark significant achievements in lunar exploration. Hopefully, these missions will serve as inspiration for other companies to become interested in providing moon-related services. That's it for today. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A link is in the description. And if you want to train your space IQ even further, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Stick it, Starship. Stick it right now. The competitors. Moonwalks. Watch this video next, bro! Let's see if that works.